What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 17 of my show, Booch Shoots On. And obviously, you can tell from the shirt and the title, I've been waiting to talk about this one. Here we go. Booch Shoots On, the CM Punk Jack Perry footage. Now, obviously, if you saw the Being the Elite review that I did a few weeks back, or the shoot I did on that, and if you've been following the Boochcast at all, you know exactly where I stand on this situation. The fact that a bunch of children got in a grown man's face and found out what happens when you fuck around and find out. That's basically what happened here. And what's funny is the Bucks released this footage thinking somehow it's going to help them. And only a small handful of people actually bought into the notion that Punk was insane and crazy. But here's the funny part. There was other shit that people claimed happened in this fight that was not seen in this video. Nowhere in this video do you see Tony Khan fearing for his life. Nowhere in there do you see Punk punching people, knocking people out, or people getting in Punk's face or whatever. Basically, everything Punk said happened in the Ariel Helwani interview with Perry is what happened. And of course, the Bucks tried to use all this to also segue into their feud with FTR, which that bombed because no one was buying it. And then FTR comes out and spews a bunch of bullshit about trying to move on from negativity and be positive, and this place is fun, and FTR basically making themselves look stupid. But the crazy thing here is this proved Punk's point. Everything he said in there was true. And you don't believe me? We're going to take a look right here for ourselves. So there's Punk right there staring at Jack Perry. Like you said, Jack came back from the match. Punk was the next match. Joe's over there walking back and forth. You can clearly see that Punk is talking to him. Perry's in his face, stroking his hair, running his mouth, trying to get the hair out of his way because he's got the long ass hair. And Punk's basically telling him, like, why are you still doing this dumb internet shit? Perry's like, you gonna do something about it? He's like, dude, I'll fucking kill you. Like, they get all the way into an argument. They're starting shit. And then all of a sudden, there he goes. He shoves him a little bit, grabs him, puts him in the front face lock. Joe breaks it up. Literally everything he said here. And look, all they really did was bump into a monitor. Nothing else happened. And then there's Punk over there yelling at Tony Khan. This place is a joke. You're a clown. But also over here, if you look at Jack Perry, he's the one fearing for his life. He's looking at Samoa Joe like, please don't let the bad man hurt me. Like, this makes Jack Perry look like the biggest pussy in all of wrestling, which is what we've all known from the beginning. He's a fucking brat. He's a Hollywood brat with a sense of entitlement and tries to act like I'm the scapegoat. No, you're the guy who provoked this whole entire thing because you're a fucking baby because no one would give you what you want. Because you wanted to smash a rental car and Punk was trying to explain to you, boys ruin it for the boys. Don't do the rental car shit. Fine, there's a safer way to do it. Let's do something else. And you got all fucking upset because people were telling you, don't do this, it's unsafe. It's like people are literally trying to save these AEW wrestlers from themselves, and they're basically saying, fuck you to anyone who tries to tell them, this shit's not safe, this shit doesn't draw money, this shit is not successful. And this is ultimately what led to Punk being fired. This footage right here is what the disciplinary committee, led by Bryan Danielson, said, this is enough for us to fire CM Punk. Even though Punk had already said he quit. Like, he went out, worked the match with Joe, and then he was pretty much done. He went home, he quit. Like, this is how you know this company is not run by smart people who know wrestling. And clearly, these are little kids who don't know what happens when you mess with grown folk. Grown adults don't play bullshit. And that's the problem with the younger generation, is that these were kids who didn't get smacked around by their parents when they were bad, so they think they can behave however the fuck they want until one day they get in somebody's face who doesn't play that shit and they get their asses kicked. Like, if you notice, with every story that's come out, whether it's about this incident right here or the brawl out that has an NDA on it, but you hear different stories from different people, in every story there's one thing that's consistent, and that is Punk beat the shit out of whoever was in his face. There's not one story that's ever come out that said the Punk got his ass kicked or the Bucks or Kenny got the upper hand. Everyone said the same thing. They stormed into the Punk's locker room and he kicked all their asses. And the Bucks got their asses kicked because these are guys who are pussies in real life. They're in professional wrestling so they can pretend to be badasses because they're not badass in real life. Punk is a badass in real life. A lot of old school wrestlers were badasses in real life, and they don't play that shit. Grown men, you cannot get up close to a grown man's face and talk shit and think you're not getting your ass kicked. I don't know what fantasy world people live in where you think you can just behave a certain way and get away with it, but no one's gonna let you get away with that shit. And also, this is professional wrestling. They operate on a different level. And by the way, backstage fights like this happened all the time in locker rooms. This isn't new. Goldberg and Chris Jericho had a backstage fight. Booker T and Batista had a backstage fight. Hell, Scott Steiner and Diamond Dallas Page had a backstage fight. And DDP is one of the easiest people to get along with, somewhat. He's Mr. Positivity. But even he had a backstage fight at one point. Like, fights happen all the time in locker rooms. The difference is the public doesn't know about them, and once the fight is done, it's done. They make peace. But also, if you got two people in a fight who don't like each other, they'll still work with each other in the ring because they're professionals. They'll go out to the ring, they'll work their match, they'll take care of their opponent, and then afterwards, if they still want to fight, they'll go in the locker room, they'll have the fucking fight, and then when it's settled, it's settled. Brett and Sean, they had a backstage fight. Brett pulled out a lock of Sean's hair and Sean was able to get a hold of it and threw the hair on Vince's desk and said this is an unsafe work environment, which is the equivalent to Tony Khan fearing for his life. What was there to fear? If that was Tony Khan fearing for his life or the life of his co-workers or employees, then that makes him look even worse. Like, nothing positive came out of this for AEW. There is no scenario where AEW comes out of this looking good. They fucked themselves, and they fucked themselves royally. Because they got rid of CM Punk. He's now in WWE, where he's insanely over. He's drawing money. Yeah, he's injured, but even then, he was still the talk of the town, and people are excited for him to come back and see what he will do in that ring. Because they knew if he hadn't gotten injured, which even though it was an accident, I still say Drew McIntyre's to blame for it. Yeah, they're turning it into a work angle, and I applaud them for it, but for a shoot, he bossed a future shot DDT and fucked up what was going to be a great WrestleMania main event with Punk and Rollins. That was going to be phenomenal. So now we got to wait a long time for that, to when Punk is truly medically cleared. Like, obviously, he was able to do the thing that he did at WrestleMania where he took off the brace and hit McIntyre with it, but obviously, he's still got to heal that up completely. He's not 100%. He was just medically cleared enough to do that shit. But AEW, meanwhile, ever since Punk left, the crowds have shrunk. The TV quality's gone down. AEW took a massive hit with Punk being fired, because they lost the biggest star they had. And nobody they've signed since then has given any clear indication that they are going to be the ones to elevate AEW. They signed Edge. He's not moving the needle. They brought in Sasha Banks. She's not moving the needle. They brought in Okada. He damn sure ain't moving the needle. And they brought in Will Ospreay, and he's obviously not moving the needle. They don't have anybody that's going to motivate more people to watch, because they stay within the 700, 800,000 range. Every now and then they'll hit an 800,000 and then drop. But they haven't had 1 million followers in God knows how long. It's been a long time since they hit 1 million, because the bloom is off the rose. The honeymoon period's over. People now see through this company. And they thought by doing this, it was going to make them look like the good guys. And it didn't. Nowhere in here does anyone look positive, except for Punk. And the only reason he looks positive is because it shows he wasn't telling lies.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
He wasn't. Everything that Punk said in that interview happened in that video. He didn't lie about anything. So regardless of whether you think Perry deserved to get choked out or not, that's up to debate. Punk didn't lie. He told the truth about what happened. The only thing that would have made this better is if we had audio and we could hear what was happening. If we could actually hear the conversation. Hell, they even asked Samoa Joe, and Joe said, I've seen worse fights. Because he has. There was barely even a fight. Like you said, there were no punches thrown. He shoved him, and then he grabbed him by his hair and locked him in a face lock and was going to choke him out until Joe broke it up. Samoa Joe kept the peace, but in the end, this is an embarrassment. And now people are walking away. They got their heads in their hands. They're like, oh my God, we got to get ready for the show. Because that was just the pre-show. The actual pay-per-view hadn't even started yet. And this shit went down. And it further proves that AEW is a business run by children. They care more about having fun than making money. And everything since then has proven that, because every time Edge cuts a promo or FTR cuts a promo defending AEW, all they talk about is how much fun it is to work there. That's your defense. I'm having fun. That's literally what Punk said. You care more about having fun than making money and selling tickets and drawing a house. You don't care how many fans show up. You're going to go out there and do your shit. because you got guaranteed money. And you got Dax Harwood, who's like gaslighting everybody by saying like, if you're against AEW, then you're against me providing for my family. It's like, no, motherfucker. No one has a problem with you providing for your family, first of all. And second of all, when did it become mandatory for wrestling fans to give a shit about your family or to care about wrestlers working? When did that become a thing? When it comes to working, the only person I care about having a job is me and people close to me. That's it, first of all. Second of all, I have no problem with Dax's daughter. I never met her. I'm sure if I did, she's probably a sweet little girl. I know Dax has said a lot of wonderful things about her. But let me let you in on something, Dax. You're probably not watching this, but in case you are, let me let you in on a little secret. If AEW closed its doors tomorrow, you could still provide a life for your family. You could wrestle the indies and still make money. You could go back to WWE and probably make more money. Because I'm sure Triple H, he'll be happy to take you back. Because last I checked, you didn't have any heat with Hunter, unless there's an interview that came out that I don't know about. I'm sure Triple H would happily take you back, make you guys the Revival, give you guys a spot, possibly put the tag belts back on you on either Raw or SmackDown. And if they don't take you back, you still got TNA. You can still go to Japan. And here's the other thing, Dax. If you get to a point where you can't make a living in the wrestling business, then go get a real fucking job. You can make money and support your family anywhere. You don't have to do it in AEW. Now, if you want to stay in AEW, that's fine. By all means, wrestle, have your matches. But don't gaslight people or pressure people to support your company so you can provide a life for your family when the product is shit. And that's the thing that bothers me. It's like, oh, we have to like this place so wrestlers have a place to work. That's the thing I find weird about this whole fucking thing is people care more about wrestlers having a place to work than themselves having a place to work. Look, I'm all for wrestlers going out and making money. Hell, I've worked in the wrestling business. In a lot of ways, I still do. I understand going to different places and making your money. Make your money. Support your family. I'm okay with that. And obviously, I want a place for you to do that. But I'm not going to pretend that a company does a great job and blindly support a company just so you can have that place to work. I can't do that. Everybody knows how I operate when it comes to wrestling. If it's great, I'm going to tell you it's great. If it's shit, I'm going to tell you it's shit. I'm not going to support something just so you can have a place to work. You want me to support it? You want me to like it? Put on a great product. Get your heads out of your asses, start acting like grown-ups, and run a fucking business. Start working matches that will actually draw money. Start cutting promos that will actually draw money. Book people that can actually bring crowds and draw money. Do the things that need to be done to make that happen. Otherwise, you're still going to be considered a clown show that nobody can take seriously. Like I said, any credibility Jack Perry had as a wrestler died in that video. Because now everyone knows he's a pussy. He is. He's a pussy. I cannot take Jack Perry seriously in a match. And I don't believe that Jack Perry could be looking good and look serious beating anybody. I just watched Punk choke him out in a real fight. You can't even win a real fight. I'm supposed to believe you can win a scripted one? You know, at least there's some people who win scripted fights, but they look like they could beat somebody in real life. We now know Jack Perry can't do that. We know the Bucks can't do that. They got in real fights and got their asses handed to them. If it wasn't for Samoa Joe, Perry would have probably got his ass kicked. I mean, obviously Punk choked him, but I don't know how much further it would have gone if Joe hadn't come in there. As far as we know, Jack Perry probably would have went limp and hit the fucking ground. But yeah, this footage cemented the fact that AEW is not a company you can take seriously. And all the shit that happened later in that episode, even with Renee putting her head in her hands, Tony Schiavone having to look away like he did in the 2000s with WCW, when he saw shit going downhill there, they see the writing on the wall. I don't want AEW to go out of business, but the way they're going, it looks like they're gonna. And I don't know, maybe they need to go out of business for people to get the reality check of this style of wrestling doesn't draw. And either they're still oblivious or they don't care. And if you don't care about making money or selling tickets, then I don't know why you're in the wrestling business. Because those are the main components of it. You serve two purposes in wrestling. You're either the guy who sells the tickets or you're the guy who helps to sell tickets. But if you don't sell tickets, doesn't matter how good you are if no one pays to see you. It's like Punk said, if you're putting on these 5-star matches and the building is a quarter full, we're not in the same business. And that's really all I have to say. So I'm going to wrap up this episode of Booch Shoots On. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Booch Shoots On, as well as other additional Vinny Bucci YouTube content. Talk to you guys next time. Until then, pizza, baby!